So today we're just talking about how we can help our families settle into a new schedule, a new season, right? Um, Going from a looser season of summer and um, not as much structure to something that has structure and routine and not necessarily a strict schedule, but a different rhythm. So, do you want to share how you are starting to think about that or some of your goals as far as um, when you do start homeschool or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm finally, like we talked about last episode, getting out of that public school mentality and routine. So this year I've just decided we're going to start homeschool in September, kind of like school used to start, like after Labor Day. Just because for us technically it is still summer here and we're still doing hay, which we do hay until October, but I've been helping a lot lately just to get some big jobs done, and my husband's firefighter schedule changed, so he does get more consecutive days off, but he also works 48s now instead of 24. Um so I've been out in the field and trying to help a little bit more. And so for us I just decided let's start in September. We're getting closer to the end of hay season, and kind of like you, it's just easier for me to get my brain wrapped around it because if we have so many things going, then it's hard for me to focus and be really disciplined. It's like there's really just no point in starting until we kind of get some things under our belt. And like this week, which when you hear this, it'll be last week, but this week is our fair week, so we're busy doing that. It's like a whole week of fair, and um, our girls are in art class and they go once a week, and so they started that back this week. So I feel like just trying to start implementing our extra activities first is a little bit healthier for us. And then, we'll get started back with school. But anyways, because we're entrepreneurs, I feel like we don't necessarily we have that freedom with homeschool to kind of get it done when we can. But for us as entrepreneurs, and specifically from speaking for myself, um, it's a little bit easier for us if we try to have somewhat of a schedule and a routine. Um, so that way I still have margin in my day to get my work done that has to get done, and then still have family time and our ranch chores and all the other tasks that we have to do. So for us, when that does happen, transitioning into fall, I try to have a rhythm, which we've talked about that a little bit. Um, but we try to have somewhat of a morning routine, and like we've talked about too, fitness is important to us. And summer is kind of like a free for all. I don't really focus much on it, but in the fall, I really try to get back to working out in the mornings because that's when I can get it done when everyone's asleep. So I'll usually work out in the mornings, and then we wake up, have breakfast, try to do some kind of devotional, and then we'll jump right into school and whatever that may look like for that particular day of what we're learning. But I try to wrap school up between um, 12 and 12:30, and then we have lunch. And the girls get to go play, and then I try to get a couple hours in of work and get everything that I need to do within my shop and Hayfield Meals and whatever else I have going on. And then, we also have to pencil in our ranch chores and um, dinner prep and all of those things. So because we have lots of moving parts within our life and our ranch and everything that we do, a structure and a rhythm or schedule is really important for us. And again, there's obviously uh, places where we can have more margin or we can work more one day and take off more the next. That's the beauty that I love regarding homeschool and being self-employed, even though it's not the easiest thing. But we do have that flexibility and freedom in our family to 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 change what we need to change. But as far as transitioning into fall, that's kind of how we structure and schedule our day and um, getting a routine. I like it because I'm kind of type A in that way, and I can kind of check things off and feel accomplished and like I actually got something done. But again, it doesn't always work that way. But if I kind of have some kind of guideline, then it helps. So, what about you?
Y-
What is yours gonna look like, or what does yours typically look like?
Well, it's going to be very similar to yours. The biggest difference is that my kids are a lot younger.
Yeah,
So, uh, it's kind of, um, it's kind of like a lot of habit training. It's going to be a lot of habit training at the start. So, um, I am too also going to be getting back into my workouts. I have some pretty big goals as far as like fitness goes in the next year. So I have to start taking it really seriously. Um, there was a while there where I was working out like every single day, and like during COVID, I we worked out every day of COVID. Cody and I, even though we couldn't go to our gym, we still did stuff at our high school track, and I got in really good shape. And then, of course, I had Briggs, and so kind of went backwards, and I have had a really hard time getting back into a regular schedule with that. But I am forcing myself to. It's a good time. I always feel a little bit motivated every time it's like a new season.
yeah,
It's like rejuvenating almost. Like get like that little burst at the beginning. And so I kind of try to take advantage of that to like get myself going and establish those habits and the routines. So that's where I have to have a very strict routine. And I don't necessarily say schedule because schedule to me is like at 8 o'clock we do this exactly every day,
right.
and
Yeah,
at
right.
9:15 we start this every single day, and it doesn't change. That's not necessarily what I mean as far as a routine. I just mean like, you know, we do this in this order each day
Right.
around a similar time frame, give or
Yeah.
take. Obviously, for me, it's almost impossible to keep a very strict schedule because I have a 2-year-old, and that's the other thing is I have to start focusing on potty training him. And when you're potty training, kind of everything goes out the window a little bit.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be very important for us to just stick to a good routine so the kids know what to expect. And my kids love it when we do the same thing and they know what to expect. They thrive, and it really helps curb a lot of like the behavior issues that we might have because there just isn't that time where they're wondering what's going to happen next or what to do right now, or they ask me what they can do right now and I say no and they get mad, and you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Where if I have the same routine every day, there isn't a question of can I go play outside right now, or can I watch a movie right now, or it's like
Yeah.
they just know. So as far as like what our day will look like, I think I'm going to try, and this is also one of those things we might try for a couple weeks, and if it's not working, we might switch a little bit. And I think that's important too, is just knowing when something's just not clicking and being able to switch. But uh the first couple weeks of school, I'm not going to be doing as much of a focus on the academics like I am, but for me right now where we're at, it's more like setting up the habits of when the kids, like when we get back from the gym or whatever, and we're ready to start homeschool. Before we even start, I need Cheyenne to make her bed and to pick up her room and just make sure that like she's dressed, her hair is done, because these are things during the summer it's like, oh, you got crazy cool hair, like I'm not that worried about it today.
Yeah.
But in this like new routine, we're like getting everything doing all the things as if we were going to an actual school, like all of the things, but we're not. We're just going to our kitchen table, right?
Yeah.
So just focusing on the routine of doing those habits every day. And then I do want to, because she's 6, so she can read, and I want to start teaching Briggs a few little, chore things that he can do. So I need to make a chore chart that just so that she can be independent in that way, and just instead of being like, what do I need to do? Or me, nagging her to do something, she just has her chart and she can just like check it off when she gets it done, because for her, she's like being able to do that is like so fun for her to like be proud that she did it and be able to like check it off. So,
Well, then it becomes repetition and she just knows eventually.
right. And eventually it won't have to be, she might not even need the chart because she just knows that that's what we do. But in this time, that's one thing I really do want to focus on. So, one thing I was going to ask you. So, when do you take a lot of time to plan your like homeschool content, as far as like what you're teaching, or I know you use a base curriculum, but like do you have like a certain day of the week that you sit down and kind of plan everything, or how does that work for
I
you?
usually do that on Sundays, but I think I'm going to start doing it on Fridays. So that way I can have the whole weekend and like we're just ready to go on
Yeah.
Monday. But we do have a base curriculum, so it's pretty much like laid out. But I also do like I I in particular kind of get like a little bored with base curriculum all the time. And so I'll also incorporate like a seasonal study. Like I said, last episode, we did a nature study that Treehouse Schoolhouse put out, and we really love that. That was really fun. We also do the ranch school, so like we might do one of those lessons for that week. Um, so I just kind of sit down and like, hey, this is kind of what we're gonna do this week. I don't have anything fancy. I just write it like on a piece of notebook paper, and we just try to get as much done as we can, and if we don't, we don't, and if we do more, we do more. So I really try not to stress too much about it, because if I'm stressed about it, then they feel anxious about it, and we'll get it. Usually it's easy to get ahead in homeschool, I've noticed, because of how much time you waste in public school. And I did not
Hmm.
realize that until we started homeschooling. So I really try not to just have so much to do during our school work days, because they don't need that much. So, yeah, pretty much um, we'll just kind of lay it out week by week. I'm not a
Hmm.
good like monthly planner when it comes to homeschool, unless it's like a seasonal study. I'll be like, okay, we're probably going to start this. If it's like a seasonal study, usually they do it for like a month at a time or 2 months at a time, and it's like day by day. So it gives you like, okay, September 1st, this is the topic, this is what you'll do, whatever. So it's kind of already planned out for you.
I like the idea of doing it on Fridays instead of Sundays. Because I don't know
Sunday,
about you.
Sunday's the day of rest for me. Like, I really try to embrace that.
Yeah.
It's biblical. No, but like truly, I think it's important. Like Sunday, and I've been really bad about this. I haven't picked it back up since last spring, but for like a year, Sunday was my nap day. Like everybody in my house knew, like Sunday, mom's getting a nap. It might be an hour, it could be 3 hours. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I'm getting my Sunday nap, and I'm such a better person for it. And it just feels good. Like I just want to rest. I want to have, like, we have our Sunday lunch after church, and it's kind of like our family day, but I try to incorporate some rest. And so I just don't want to have to do any work, not for the store. I don't want to have to nitpick every little thing, because that's what I used to do in my own work. And then when I started homeschooling, I was just like, okay, they need to do like this at this certain time, and we need to do this curriculum. Like for me, your homeschool will probably look completely different, like do a whole 180 next year than it will this year because it's your first year, because that's
Right.
what ours was. And so you just have to be able to like, and it makes you be able to like bend and change. And you're good with it. You're like, well, it's no big deal. Like, we'll just figure something else out, or this works better for them, so we'll just do that. And it's truly like not a big deal at all.
Right. But at the same time, I know that just actually taking the time to rest will help you be more productive,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, once again, it does come down to like discipline and just being able to say, like, no, you can go to sleep now because you can get 8 hours of sleep, and then tomorrow you'll be way more productive instead of getting 3 hours of sleep because you stayed up all night working, you know?
Yeah. Well, and to us, as like creatives and business owners, it feels counterintuitive because it's like, I don't have time for that. I have all these other things I should be doing.
Right.
When in reality, like, you can probably pick out some times where you were like mindlessly scrolling, but we have to be on social media to like get our businesses out there, like to
Right.
get seen, So it's like, I have noticed where I'm like, okay, like if I have time to do this, then I can do this and feel so much better than what I'm consuming on a screen.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, yeah.
Right. And it comes down to like, I feel, there are people and, um, you'll watch like YouTube videos or listen to podcasts and they're like, instead of sitting down and watching Netflix, every night for 2 hours, just do this instead. I'm like, you think I watch Netflix for 2 hours? I'm like, I don't even like
I just want to
watch
sleep, man.
TV. Like, literally, it's like, I am like going from thing to thing. Like, if I'm not taking care of my kids, I'm like working or I'm like trying to do laundry or trying to make dinner or whatever. And so it is really just like you have to get so much more, like dig in so much deeper to find the little pockets where you are wasting time, right? And it's like
Yeah.
it comes down to not only, like those 5 minutes that you take to like scroll Instagram once a day, like just cut that out entirely. You know what I
Just
mean?
hire a high
Because,
school kid to do your social media for you.
right. Well, I mean, I've even heard of a lot of people that they just get on and schedule their posts and just like they
I've
have it
started doing
posted
that.
and then
Yep.
they don't even do anything. Like they don't even scroll. They might get on like once a week and like answer comments or whatever, but they don't
Yeah.
really spend a lot of time on there, which I think is great if you can figure out how to do it and make your page
Yeah.
successful. But
Well, at this
you
point,
know,
like I just feel like no matter what you do, unless I don't know the secret sauce to Instagram anymore. I've kind of given up, but I will say like I have done that with this, not really my personal, but my store of scheduled content, and it just kind of alleviates that like task in the back of my head,
right,
because it's just like, okay, then I sit there and I wonder like, well, what should I post? Or what should I share? And then it's like I'm terrible at, I feel like I used to be really decent at it with a shop, but then like when Reels came about, I'm just like, ugh, it's just daunting and so much time. I mean, I feel like it's easier with my personal because it's just like our daily life. But there's just, I don't know. I'm not as creative in the real game when it comes to the shop, but scheduling does help as far as a
Right. Well,
business goes, I think.
and just like batching your content. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people talk about that, but I do think it is helpful in all aspects of life to try and batch your tasks if you can,
Yeah.
instead of like spreading them out and trying to figure out what you're going to post like every single day, you know, just do it all at once. And I'm saying this because I'm not good at this, but it is something when I do something
I
like
need to
this,
do
it
it.
helps. I mean, we batch our podcasts, like we do a couple episodes at a time, which
Yeah.
I love because I think it would be much harder if we were trying to sit down every single week and do it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
So, um, but yeah, it's like getting nitpicky with every little thing that you're doing and then figuring out, because for me, it's also figuring out how to be more, not really productive, but just efficient, right? So when it comes to doing certain tasks, like working faster at things, like even the silly mundane things like, cleaning the kitchen after dinner. It's like, how can I make this go faster? you know, because for some reason, I really think I'm like, I feel like I'm a turtle when it comes to like house cleaning. Like, I'm like a tortoise. Like, I am just so slow. And I don't know. Sometimes I like watch, YouTube videos and people are like, yeah, and I always clean this and this, and I'm able to get this and this and this done in this amount of time. And I'm like, how?
Well, I
like,
will say when your kids get older, it does get so much easier because they can help more. Like I told you earlier, like the girls, they're in charge of like the laundry, the dishes, and then of course feeding their animals and like making their bed and picking up their own rooms and stuff. But it is so helpful. Like I do remember the days where I had to do it all because they just couldn't. I was like it was more work for them to try to help me than to actually,
hmm
just do it myself. But when your kids do get older, it is so nice. It is so helpful and like I appreciate it so much. Um and then one other thing that I've tried to do is like not expect my house to be like tidy and picked up all the time, but like just like your daily stuff that can easily pile up and then your house is just like a tornado. Like we just try to do like the daily things and then I try to go to bed with like a clean kitchen. So that way when we wake up in the morning, like the kitchen's ready to go, it's ready for breakfast and school because it's usually where we do school. And I don't want to have to be like moving all of our stuff out of the way on the kitchen table to like get our work done. So
right.
that does help.